You've probably seen them in crime movies, hammering away at their keyboards with their gaze fixed on their computer screen. They're usually depicted as cool geeks who can gain access to any system they want, all while sitting on their desk with nothing but a laptop. We are, of course, talking about cyber hackers. But looking at the real world, you realize the kind of mess hackers can create is extremely dangerous. With the right type of planning, they can bring down a town, a large city, or even a country. And with our lives increasingly becoming more digital in nature, the ways we can be attacked is only rising. Millions of people have had to suffer heartbreaking losses because of cyber attacks, and you can expect that number to only climb. In fact, cyber attacks cause more than $1 trillion worth of damage every year. It's estimated that this figure will rise to more than $10 trillion by 2025. So now that we've looked into what hackers are capable of, let's take a look at the top 5 most dangerous cyber hackers in the world and how they gained their infamous reputations. Number 1. Jonathan James. Some kids are naturally gifted and have a mastery over all things computers from a very young age. Jonathan James was one such kid. He displayed just how awesome his technical skills were by hacking his school system at the age of 15. Of course, you could say that this isn't that impressive considering what other hackers in the world have been able to do at a much younger age. But listen to this. Jonathan also managed to hack the United States Department of Defense at the same time. Yes, you heard that right. A 15-year-old kid successfully hacked into one of America's most guarded military branches. He got priceless information about the inner workings of the department, the people who worked and had worked there, and also user IDs and passwords of several employees. But wait, there's more. It was later revealed that he had hacked NASA and gained access to the International Space Station's ISS source code. This means he had information on how the ISS worked, including the life-sustaining systems like temperature and humidity control in the living spaces. His hack led to NASA shutting down their computer network for 3 full weeks. This and the DoD hack brought him to the attention of the federal authorities. He was put under house arrest and probation until the age of 18. He was also asked to write letters of apology to the DoD and NASA. He could have gotten out of the whole situation without any severe consequences, but he violated his probation order and had to serve 6 months in federal correction facility. Later, after a series of giant retail stores got hacked, he was investigated by the Secret Service, but no connections were ever made. Suspecting that he might be punished for the things he hadn't done, Jonathan committed suicide at the age of 24. Number 2. Gary McKinnon. When you think about a hacker's motives, you wouldn't be wrong to say that they usually have nefarious reasons. It could be money, blackmail, drugs, bringing down a powerful institution for the sake of it, and so on. However, there are some hackers who don't have any evil intentions at all. Gary McKinnon belongs to this category. Hailing from Scotland, he's widely regarded as the hacker behind the biggest military computer hack of all time. In 2001 to 2002, he hacked more than 100 NASA and US military computers. But he didn't do so with the intent to cause damage. His intentions were to find evidence of any information about UFOs or aliens that he believed the US government might be hiding. Suffice to say, this makes him quite unique, and we're sure millions of people were able to relate to his actions since most people are curious about the UFO phenomenon. What's interesting about Gary's story is that he was able to gain access to NASA and the US military systems for about 13 months. This is unthinkable in today's world, where a security breach for even a few hours is simply unacceptable. He was questioned by British authorities and had his computer confiscated, but he wasn't extradited to the US due to a disagreement over jurisdiction. Jack McConnell, the First Minister of Scotland at the time, rejected the extradition request by the US. Pink Floyd, the popular rock band, even made a song about him. Today, he roams free and owns an SEO-focused company. Number 3. Max Butler. Max Butler has to be one of the most notorious hackers in the world. His journey into the dark world of cybercrimes began when he was still young. Early in life, he discovered internet relay chat and started selling pirated software online. He was eventually sued for this act, but the affected party agreed to settle with him, for $3,500 and free computer consulting. But he didn't stop there. While tasked with fixing a security hole for the U.S. government, he built a backdoor into the websites of the U.S. federal agencies. After 2 years, he was caught and sentenced to 18 months in prison. After being released, one would expect a person to improve their ways. This, however, didn't apply to Butler, as he quickly got back to hacking the first chance he got. Starting in 2003, he started creating malware to steal the credit card information of more than 2 million people. These were eventually used for fraudulent purchases of more than $85 million. Butler also attacked Citibank during this time and sold a lot of critical banking information on the dark web. As you would expect, he was caught once again, and this time he was sentenced to 13 years in prison. At the time, this was the longest sentence ever given for hacking charges in the U.S. Butler was only recently released from prison in April 2021, and we can only hope that he's turned over a new leaf. Number 4. Kevin Mitnick. This name probably sends chills down the spines of cybersecurity experts. At one point in time, his name was synonymous with the word hacking itself, so you can imagine the kind of mess he'd created during his hacking days. Like Jonathan James, Mitnick started early in the world of hacking. At the young age of just 16, he had already begun hacking computer systems. As he grew older, his targets got bigger too. Some well-known names that he hacked are the Digital Equipment Corporation, Sun Microsystems, Nokia, Pacific Bell, Motorola, and Netcom. He later revealed that he hacked Pacific Bell just to show that it could be done. This shows that money wasn't always his prime motivation. But what was probably the highlight of Mitnick's exploits was the North American Defense Command hack. What's fascinating is that he was still a teenager when he pulled this off. Mitnick now claims that he never hacked the NORAD, but most don't believe him. Well, after spending 5 years in prison for his numerous exploits, Mitnick started a new chapter in his life and now owns a computer security consultancy firm called Mitnick Security Consulting. Number 5. Robert Tappan Morris. On the list of the most dangerous cyber hackers, it's only logical to include the person who's considered to be the first hacker ever. Kind of cool, right? He created the first computer worm back in 1988 when people didn't even grasp the concept of the internet fully. The worm, now known as the Morris worm, was a small program containing just 99 lines of code, but it could bring even large systems to their knees. It was the first software in the history of computing that could spread itself over a network. Due to his activities, Morris was sentenced to 3 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, and a fine of $10,000. He's always stated that the motive behind Morris's actions was to display the inadequacy of the security networks of the time. Now, he's a tenured professor at MIT and was even elected to the National Academy of Engineering in 2019. This goes to show the kind of genius the world has in Morris. And that's it for today's video. From the stories mentioned above, it's clear how much damage a hacker can cause by simply writing code into a computer. These same stories have inspired many big companies around the world to really clamp down on their cybersecurity, and some have even employed full-time cyber hackers of their own who work around the clock to ensure their systems remain safe and intact. Even militaries have been known to employ hackers to fight against and prevent attempted hacking from enemy nations. Computer hacking can be used for both good and evil. At the end of the day, it all comes down to the intentions of the person on the other end of the screen. What do you think about these hackers? Were there any notable names that I missed? Let us know what you think by leaving a comment down below. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated whenever we release a new one. Apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.